Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of All Things MSP Vendor Updates. Now, of course, these vendor updates are meant to introduce you to new vendors, as well as give you an update annually on vendors that we've already introduced to you. Now, if you're a vendor in the space and you want to get involved, simply reach out to me, Eric at All Things MSP, and I will get you scheduled for your vendor update. They're free. I do have limited scheduling ability for these because I can't do a ton every week. So just make sure you get that request in so that we can record it as soon as possible. Now, today's guest is no stranger to the MSP world. We have Robert Lawson from CyberGuard 360. Hey, Robert.
Hey, good morning.
How are you today?
Doing well, sir. Doing well.
I see you're recording in your car. Not a bad place to do a recording.
Stuck in traffic on the way to the office. So,
well, a lot of people, a lot of TikTokers use their car to record in because the acoustics are actually pretty good because the entire surface of the inside of that car is lined with, cloth. So it actually makes a decent recording space. So you didn't have to mention the fact that you were stuck in traffic and couldn't make it to the office to do the recording because you know what? It doesn't really matter. It's actually a good space to do that. Now, we're not here to talk about recording in your car. We're here to talk about CyberGuard 360. So, Robert, what's your role at CyberGuard 360? And then give me the quick elevator pitch of what CyberGuard 360 is.
Yeah, so I'm the director of sales at CyberGuard 360. I was lucky enough to kind of be employee one at the firm, so moved over from the MSP of the owner. So it's been a fun ride. And the elevator pitch for CyberGuard 360 is we make compliance simple for MSPs. So we have tools in there for risk assessments, end user training, phishing, penetration testing, all the things you need to satisfy most compliance requirements you can do in CyberGuard 360.
Okay. And to me, that's really important because I think one of the best opportunities for MSPs today, both from a monetary or a revenue opportunity standpoint, as well as a reduction in risk standpoint, is compliance for those customers that require compliance. And I think there are some MSPs who would be surprised that there are more types of clients that now require compliance than there were just 12 months ago. So if you could kind of let us know some of those new kind of unexpected, maybe some of the ones that fall under FTC industries that now require compliance.
Correct. So there's 14 industries that fall under the FTC safeguards rule. It's everything from car dealerships to mattress firm stores to tire shops, all the way to mortgage brokers, CPAs, and accountants. So it's anyone that touches or processes consumer financial data. So when you think of like the mattress firm, they process in-store branded credit cards. So by taking those applications and having those paperwork in store, they need to be compliant with FTC safeguard rule.
Okay, so formerly, in terms of consumer credit, kind of had PCI governing all kinds of transactions. But now for those companies, like you said, mattress firms, car dealerships, anywhere that would have their own finance arm, I guess you would say, or that would process those types of credit applications where they're collecting that type of credit information and PII, that's where this FTC law comes into play.
Yeah, so anywhere you walk in, and especially retail stores, you'll see they've got TJ Maxx. I'm in a parking lot right now for TJ Maxx and Home Goods. They offer a store-branded credit card. So anyone that you see those Affirm or those Synchrony Financial little logos in the store windows that indicate they process those applications, that's a candidate for the FTC safeguard rule.
Okay, so would that also apply to like doctor's offices and care credit?
So it depends on how they process the application. So if they send you to a third party to do it, no. If they actually take the application in store, it's like my wife and I bought a mattress at Mattress Firm. We moved to Charleston a few years ago, and they actually had a paper application you had to fill out. So because they process and store that information, that makes them need to be compliant with it.
Okay. I don't remember whether or not Care Credit does that at doctor's offices, but I would suspect with the technological immaturity of your average doctor's office, I guess I'll call it, they probably do fill out paper applications. So that would certainly apply. And then, of course, with doctor's offices, you also have HIPAA, and HIPAA seems to have grown some more teeth lately. Is that true?
It has. So there were some updates last year to the HIPAA reg, and they've got proposed updates that I think are being debated this month around some of the reporting requirements on the timeline, and then again on kind of putting in writing the annual risk assessment piece. And so formalizing some dates and some timelines they're looking to expand this year.
Okay. So another area where FTC comes into play, where I know a lot of MSPs have clients, is in accountants and CPAs. Mm-hmm. How does this apply to accountants and CPAs?
So they hold consumer financial data. So they're processing some of the most confidential things you could imagine out there, including mortgage brokers. They've got every financial piece of your entire life. And so because they host and store that data and need to manipulate it to do your taxes and process business finances, they need to be compliant with the regulation.
Okay. So we've mentioned quite a few industries that MSPs specifically serve, especially smaller MSPs. And so how does CyberGuard 360 actually help build a service and create that opportunity around these compliance needs for these small businesses?
Excellent question. So a lot of these firms we mentioned, the car dealerships to CPAs to mortgage brokers, they're all looking for this now because it's starting to get more teeth, and the national and state associations are starting to talk about it with their members. And so they're out looking for it. So MSPs that don't have the ability to point someone in the right direction or do it in-house are starting to fall behind a little. And so we've got in our platform in CyberGuard 360, it's easy to set up. You can do it once you've done the initial setup of your platform. Assigning a client can be done in under 10 minutes. I mean, you go up, it's just setting up the risk assessment, and that process takes a little time to do with the client. But turning on the end user training, the policies and procedures, queuing up and initiating that external penetration test, and the external vulnerability assessment that are required under FTC. Doing all those functions inside CyberGuard 360 takes minutes, and to queue them up and get them started. And there's some back end work. Like once a risk assessment's done, you'll need to go through the plan of actions and milestones and make sure that everything's ready for the client. And we may give you several options to satisfy a risk, and you'll need to spend a little time determining what you want to present your client.
Okay. So for, let's just say, the average small business that needs some type of compliance, whether it's HIPAA or FTC, what does the opportunity look like for the MSP in terms of revenue?
So we actually evaluated our partners last year in a survey and got some feedback from them on that. So what we're finding is a lot of our partners are charging somewhere in the range of a couple of $100 to a few $100 a month to manage compliance for up to 25 users. And then once you get into the larger scale, you start to breach that 50, 100, 150 user clients. There'll be a little more time involved just because visiting multiple facilities, if you're doing risk assessments and including that as part of the service, you'll need to make sure you're accounting for your time and efforts there.
Okay. And I imagine that there is, more work up front. So it does create probably some project work up front and then some type of ongoing monthly recurring revenue, correct?
Correct. There's generally some fee up front to account for the time involved in the risk assessment and the policy development. Now, the great thing in CyberGuard 360, we've got about 150 policy templates ready to go. So it gives you kind of a jump start to get those ready when you're working with your client. And the rest of it is that ongoing monthly management. So the updates come down throughout the year. Policies need to be relooked at. Training is an annual item. You may do periodic simulated phishing, the weekly cybersecurity shorts that can be sent out. There's a lot of things that happen throughout the year for compliance. It's not a one and done kind of snapshot in time.
Right, because there's readiness for compliance, which is kind of the one and done. But then there's the ongoing compliance and governance of those environments, because first of all, things change, people are added, configurations drift, things could become out of compliance for a various number of reasons. So you need to make sure that those are taken care of, but also these compliance rules change over time. And
Mhm.
so there are different things that you have to implement when you do that. Now, how does CyberGuard 360 keep the MSP up to date on those changes?
So we actually update policies throughout the year in our platform, and make addendums to the risk assessment as well. But the policies you'll notice on our platform, when we push those out, you'll see them as a view difference in your platform, and you can hit and then push those down to your clients as well. And then the clients can view the difference and evaluate what they want to adapt to their individual use case.
Okay. And then I'm sure there's some type of acceptance or signature process for the individual end users at the client to accept those policies, correct?
Correct. So all end users have a login account. You can sync with Intra and Google Workspace to get them in there. But they all have to log in and either complete the training courses you've assigned and then acknowledge the individual policies.
Okay, so that's an important point, is that this does include end user training, which is extremely important when you're talking about any type of compliance.
It is. It can be difficult sometimes, a little carrot and stick to get them to take the training course. But assigning them in there and having a platform that'll send them a monthly reminder if they haven't completed it. And they've got other things in there. Like I said, the weekly security short videos that go out on training. If you're working with, you mentioned a medical earlier, HIPAA or the FTC, we've got specific courses in there that address those use cases. And then the policies as well. So when you kind of make it a comprehensive platform that the end users can log in, get their activities done, and get out. That's the goal of CyberGuard 364.
Okay, and then I want to go back to policies for just a second and say that I know that, starting off with a template is great, but obviously not every small business is the same, and you might run into some unique compliance environments. So what does CyberGuard 360 do to help the MSP in those environments where the MSP doesn't have, say, the compliance knowledge to know that a policy needs to be updated for a certain situation?
Absolutely. So we do offer platform reviews where partners can schedule time with us to review things. We're happy to jump in and take a look in specific use cases. We do always recommend, though, that if there is a unique case and they are unsure, to speak with local counsel, because some states and city codes have very fine requirements that apply just in very few use cases. And so while we've got wonderful templates, and we always encourage you to go in and manipulate those and make them unique for your client, but we would always recommend in those unique cases that they speak to counsel.
Okay.
A good example is the New York State Department of Financial Services. They've come out years ago. They were kind of the first to create these cybersecurity regulations for industries. And when they came out, the director, Rolda Ricketts, said you couldn't just take a templated PDF and hand it to every insurance agency in the state and say you have policies. They've got to reflect the risk done in the risk assessment. And so each policy does need to be evaluated and customized.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense because those local regulations, I don't think any one person could keep track of all of those different things. And that policy is a legal document that you are having your clients, and for the MSP, it's their clients. For the clients, it's their employees. It's being signed as a legal document. And I firmly believe that every type of legal document should be put through legal review, whether you have internal legal services or you have external legal counsel. In either case, you should have that reviewed as part of your standard business practices.
And hopefully in the coming years, AI will make that easier for all of us.
Yes. However, I had some very interesting conversations at GTIA that infer that AI may already be lying to us. So with that in mind, Robert, thank you very much for joining me today. Really do appreciate CyberGuard 360 and what they do for the industry. And I know that you guys are out there helping a lot of MSPs.
Well, thank you for your time, Eric. I appreciate it.
If anybody wants to get a hold of you or CyberGuard 360, how do they do that?
The best way is visit our website, cyberguard360.com. You can always schedule a demo up there if you want to speak to someone on our partner advocate team. And then my email address is rob, at cyberguard360.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Have a great one.